Here we are. All right, here we go. It is Friday. Is it just me, or do the weeks seem to go by more rapidly in this context than they used to? Is it just
Yeah,
me?
they still seem to be, one day seems to be a week long,
Yeah.
but
Then the
I
next
mean,
three
in
go.
the running together sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah,
Unusual
it just seemed minutes ago that we were
that we were
celebrating your fifth
at
birthday.
each other's throats.
Yeah.
Yes. You're you're looking very dapper this morning. Frank Cavallaro is in the green room. We're going to
Well,
get to him.
Frank called me
Did he?
and said, "You wear a
You
tie.
better dress up, boy.
Listen to me."
Yeah.
So I wore
Yeah.
a tie.
And there's no arguing with Frank because he's got connections.
He's
Yeah,
he is a forceful person,
he
and
is.
I want to keep on his right side.
I'm looking forward to chatting with him. I'm just going to finish off on my rant. I posted something yesterday and I reposted this morning about this whole thing about François Legault going after the Gazette and Aaron Derfel and all of this, suggesting that based on some sort of poll results that Anglos were more alarmed than Francophones. Yeah. Regardless of all of that, you don't shoot the messenger. You do not shoot the messenger, and that is a sign of desperation. It is a sign of a ship taking on water. J'ai publié mon message en français ce matin parce qu'il y avait une entrevue avec Patrick Masbourian. Aaron Derfel interviewed en français with Patrick Masbourian this morning. Did a
A
very, very good
raghead.
job, and they wrapped the whole thing up. And Francophone and Anglophone commentators alike have risen to the defense of the Gazette and of Aaron, who does a bang-up job. He's the one who broke the Heron residence story. He's been a health reporter, I believe, with the Gazette for some 20 years. I don't know him, but you don't play the media card, and when you start playing the media card, it is a slippery slope. And I
Yeah.
really, really
Well, I
find
mean,
this
I also don't see the
distasteful.
connection that Francois Legault, because you said, maybe it's the Gazette's responsibility to inform people as I'm trying to inform people, and that's the reason the poll turned out the way it
No,
does.
no, no, doesn't work.
It's
No.
resorting to Trump-like, as you say,
Yeah.
shoot the messenger,
I wasn't
blame
going to
other
say
people.
that, but you're quite right. And at least one commentator brought that up the other day. I think it was Paul Journet or one of his
Of la
colleagues on
presse.
Masbourian's show, and they mentioned Trump and all of that. I don't want to compare Francois Legault to Donald Trump, but
No,
this
but
is
it was characteristic,
yes,
I'm
but
afraid,
this is a
for me.
slippery slope, and
Yeah.
this should never, ever, ever be heard in a civilized society. So again, kudos
And
to
we,
Aaron
we, we
Derfel.
were all talking about, francophones, anglophones, allophones, Québécois, Québécoises were all giving the premier and his team high marks
Yes,
for
absolutely.
weeks.
Yes.
And then this stupid thing, and it wasn't French, English, allo, two solitudes. It was just a dumb thing to
Yeah,
say.
because I truly believe these people get out of bed in the morning and they want to do the best job they can. McCann, Legault, Arruda. But if you watch these newsers, there's way too much yammering going on. Arruda talks way too much. I sent him an email this morning. I said, Dr. Arruda, congratulations for everything you've done, but you talk way too much. And if you listen to francophone commentators of late, you'll hear a word creeping into their narrative, and it's etc., which is a word that Arruda uses continually as he's
Oh,
yammering on. So if you have nothing to say in that space, don't use the word etc. Deliver the message you have to deliver, then move on to something else, or put a period at the end of the sentence and shut up.
yeah.
But
Well, you know as
yesterday's
well as I do, people fall into, and when they're not necessarily well trained in communications, as Aruda has not heretofore,
has not been.
we fall into annoying verbal tics. That's what I
Crutches and
call them.
ticks.
When
Yes.
somebody starts a sentence with now.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
7 days ago,
We could go, or so. So
yes,
is
it
also
is
a
a
word.
sign of you're nervous, and which is obvious.
Yep.
But you're right. I think those press conferences should be no more, if they're every day to inform people. They should be there every day. They missed the weekend, and I think that was bad.
Mm.
They shouldn't be any more than 10, 15
15
minutes long
minutes.
at the most.
Thank you.
They
Good
don't have
night.
anything to
Good
say.
night. Thank you. Don't
Yep.
let the door hit you on the way out. But, and again, Trudeau has that figured out more or less. He does his bit. He takes a few questions, disappears. The experts come in. Yes, let them yammer on about technical matters. And they go on too long as well. But yeah, there's way too much talking. So I don't know if I'm going to hear. If I hear from Dr. Arruda, I will let you know because
Yeah,
I'll,
and golly, don't speculate. I mean, politicians, okay, you can
yeah,
hold back, you know how to do it. You usually do speculate, but Trudeau's been pretty good at that.
yeah.
But especially people like Arruda shouldn't speculate
You don't.
because we don't know what we don't know.
If you hear the word if or si
Yeah,
en français in any question or anything, you don't go there. Stick to what's going on. Anyway, we could go on about this for hours,
yeah.
but we're
If
eating
I
into
just may
Frank.
take one example,
Please do.
and I couldn't believe the parliamentary scrum is full of some of the best reporters in the country, right?
Yep. Or
In
so
Ottawa.
we would hope.
We would, yeah. And there was a guy from LCN there who said to Trudeau, and this was months ago, what's the worst case scenario?
Yeah.
And we're all going to die.
Yeah, that's about
Trudeau
it.
said, I don't know.
Yeah.
Next question.
It's Thursday. Next question.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's a lot of that. And of course, there's a lot of people who are pressuring the government. So when is this going to end? How does François Legault or Horacio
No,
Arruda know that?
no,
Or
no.
Or
And the
Madame McCann,
polls,
Minister
yeah.
McCann?
And the
I don't.
polls thing about when the complaints that allophones and anglophones and many of francophone parents, I have friends of my daughters who say the same thing. The minute they started losing it with Legault was the schools thing. It had
Yeah.
nothing to do with language. He just said, well, we're opening up the schools, and of course, all Montreal schools now are closed until September. So it
Yeah.
scared the living daylights out of a lot of parents. And then I don't think so.
It's the pressure. Because again, we could go on
Yeah.
for some time, but let's look ahead to a nice, quiet weekend if we can, and let's bring in Frank because he's probably getting
Well,
angry. He's probably calling
how's
his
my
lawyer
time?
now. He's probably calling a couple of his buddies to come over
There he is.
to drain our pool or something.
Oh, Frank, you
Oh
got all dressed up.
my! He's all dressed up and he's got his glasses on and everything too.
Hey,
Frank,
what's up?
He's looking
how are you?
very serious with the
What's
glasses.
going on, guys?
Frank, I wore a tie for you, buddy.
A tie?
Look at this. Well,
I've
you
been
gave
wearing
it
a
to me
tie
for
all my
Christmas
life,
one year.
Dave.
How you been?
Not bad. Surviving, you know.
Yeah. Days
Same
getting too
shit.
long sometimes?
What's that?
Are the days getting too long sometimes in this self-isolation stuff?
Well, you know, you can't really do much. So I've got an elliptical here that's keeping me sane. I would try to work out every day and try to watch what I eat, but it's really tough. I mean, what are you going to do? I fixed my bike and it's freezing out.
You can't win, can you?
No, really. I had my bike fixed, and we've had what, 3 nice days. I'm looking out. It's going to rain today.
Yeah.
You know,
Yesterday was gorgeous, but yeah.
yeah, next week's supposed to be better. But I mean, we're almost at the end of May, so
Have you planted your zucchinis yet?
no, I haven't done the zucchinis in a few years.
Oh, I see. Well, that's the only word that came out of my spouse's mouth. She says, "What about his zucchinis?" I said, "I know. I haven't talked to Frank for years."
Where are you, by the way? Are you in Montreal?
I'm in North Shore up here. Where are you? You're
I'm in Laval.
in Laval. Okay, so we're not too far from each other.
West End.
Dave's
so.
in Montreal West. That's why he's wearing a tie.
Is this a weekly thing?
Yes, we're just on here. We're recording and we're going to post this on Facebook. We're just catching up with some of our favorite people, and you're one of them. I was reading up on you. Are you still in the ice cream business?
No, I sold it, thank God, a year ago.
Oh, okay.
But you can ask me about it because
I'd be interested to find out about that. Because
I'll tell you what happened. I mean,
Okay.
I was so lucky. My partner and I were lucky we sold a year ago. Thank God.
And this was the name. Was this a franchise of some
Yeah.
sort, or okay?
Diperie, La Diperie.
La Diperie. Okay.
Yeah, there's about when I opened, there were about 7 or 8. Now there's about 25 around, and
Okay.
half of them are closing down.
I can just imagine. Okay, so I was thinking of you last night when I was doing a bit of research, and I thought, my God, if he's in business right now, it's going to be a rough haul.
No, we were
So-
lucky. We sold. I mean, before the virus. I mean, before the pandemic, we sold about a year and a half ago.
Why did you decide to sell, though, Frank?
You know what, Dave? I learned one thing. I'm glad I did this thing. You know, we lost some money. It was like taking a management course in university. I learned so much with the government, inspectors coming by. I mean, I had an ice cream shop and we had an inspector from the Ministère de l'Agriculture every 2 weeks checking us. I opened it because I didn't know that the weather has a lot to do with ice cream. And
Yes.
believe it or not, when it's too hot, you don't make money.
When it's too hot.
Yeah, we had a stretch, I remember 2 summers ago where in July, from June 20th to July 6th, it was like 30 degrees almost every day. And people weren't coming out because it was too hot. When it rains, people rarely come out. When it's too hot, they don't come out. So I said, geez, what do you need? 23 degrees and low humidity?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you need to sell ice cream.
It's a Goldilocks thing.
Unless you sell like other stuff, like some Dairy Queens sell hot dogs and fries, you survive all year. But we're just an ice cream shop, milkshakes, and we were open from April to October. And after Labor Day, nobody eats ice cream. I mean, you'll sell maybe 20 cones a day. After Labor Day, once the kids go back to school, they've had their ice cream fix. So you got to make all your money in May, June, July, and August. You got
That's
4
a very
months.
small window, isn't it?
Yeah, and you got to pay rent the rest of the time. So first year we broke even. Second year we lost some money, and then we sold. The person who bought has another franchise in Little Burgundy, and she made a lot of money in Little Burgundy. She bought ours, but I checked in with her last year, and it's up for sale again. And now with the pandemic, forget it. It's ridiculous.
That's a shame.
Wow. So is this an endeavor you'd not necessarily ice cream, but would you get back into business of some sort, having learned what you learned?
Yeah, I would, but never in Quebec. I would never do it here. Too many permits, too many taxes, too many inspectors. I mean, we were inspected regularly, and we're an ice cream shop. We were sparkling clean because we are a franchise. Not only did we get an inspector from the city, from the franchise, we got an inspector from the government. So we were like, but we were fine, which makes me think about the CHSLDs that are not being inspected. And this is why 80% of our debts come from these homes where they basically let them go, which I can't figure out.
No, that crossed my mind as you were talking about that. You know, you got a guy coming in every 2 weeks and disrupting business and stuff like that. Well, maybe there's somewhere else you could go and work.
Okay,
That's
so
an
counting
interesting point.
chocolate chips instead of inspecting.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I mean, when I was in Florida 2.5 months, and I heard, how great a job our provincial government's doing, Legault, and our health minister, Ruda, and I said, why? And now we're like the worst province in Canada, which I can't figure out. And with these homes, everybody dying. My mom's 82, she's going to be 83. I'm not going to put her in one of these homes.
Where is she? Is she on her own?
Yeah, she lives in a Huntsic on her own. I drop by outside and visit her, wave outside. I see her from 8-9 feet away. I'll buy some groceries for her if she needs. I had to go pay a couple of bills for her at the bank last week. But no, she's healthy. But what's happening at these seniors' homes is incredible. Not just here, over North America, but Quebec is like, what, they've called in the army now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Frank, what about getting out of Florida? What was the timeline there and how difficult was it? I've had people tell me it was as smooth as silk, and others who said it was absolute chaos.
No, I was in Florida January 12th. I was supposed to stay till April 5th. I was working for a golf company, a Canadian golf company down there. Basically what I was doing is I'd go to different golf courses every day, greet the snowbirds from Quebec, Philadelphia, New York, shake their hands and put water bottles on their carts. I did it 6 hours a day for about 4 or 5 days a week. I loved it. I was out on the golf course. I didn't golf. I was in Florida 2.5 months. I didn't golf because I was on a golf course every day. When Legault and Trudeau said, you got to come home, everybody panicked. All the snowbirds just dropped everything and took off. And I was saying to myself, why is everybody panicking? Most snowbirds have insurance. I had insurance till April 7th. When I bought my insurance January 12th, I was covered till April 7th, and the virus, COVID-19, was covered. I called my insurance. I said, yeah, you took insurance before this became a pandemic. You're covered. So a lot of the snowbirds just took off right away, and that affected the golf industry in Florida. So I didn't work till first week of April. I finished around the 20th of March. So I stuck around a couple more weeks, and everybody's saying, you got to come home. You got to come home. I said, why? In Florida, things were partially shut down. Construction continued. The roads were being fixed. You can go for a coffee outside on the terrace as long as you were 6 feet away. The weather was fabulous. I've never seen Florida's weather this good, and I've been down there like 20 times. People were just taking off, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go back first week of April.
Did
So
you
I
have
got in
any
my
trouble
car.
getting a flight?
No, I drove down and I drove back up.
Oh, you drove. Okay.
So I knew that if you drove, you wouldn't have that problem with the flights and the fact that I'm a Canadian citizen. They had to let me in. They can't say no to me unless I was sick, and I wasn't sick. So I decided, you know what? The place I was renting was rented till April 1st. So I said around March 28th, I said, you know what? People are bugging me, come up here. My wife was calling me. You're wasting, it's bad in Florida. I go, it's not bad. I'm telling you, population of 23 million, they hardly had any cases there. They've gone up now, but they're still lower than Quebec. And what I liked about it is people were outside working. The roads were being fixed, while here, the worst roads in North America, nobody's working on them when we're staying home, which doesn't make sense. So I got in my car March 28th. I didn't want to drive by myself 28 hours. I've done it many times. So I said, you know what? I'm going to try this auto train. You guys know about the auto train?
Yes, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
you put the
I've
car on a
never heard of
train.
Yeah. You drive to Sanford, Florida, which is near Orlando. So I was in Boynton Beach, 3.5 hours. I got to the station in Orlando, near Orlando. They take your car and they put it on the train. Once your car's on the train, you can't go to your car. So I booked a room. Well, a room. It was basically, a little room with a bed and a TV, and not a TV, Wi-Fi and everything. The train takes off, leaves at 5 p.m. They bring you supper around 7:38. You can watch a movie because there's Wi-Fi. You fall asleep at 11. You wake up at 7, 8 next morning. They serve you breakfast. And then at 10 o'clock, you're in Virginia. You get off the train, they unload your car, get in your car 9 hours later in Montreal.
Sounds like the way to go. Yeah.
That's a plan for you and me, Dave. Let's.
Yeah.
And guys, I got to tell you, I loved it. People were scared. People on board, the virus. People were social distancing, wearing masks. I was in my little room. Once you're in your room, you can close the room. Nobody bothers you. You sleep. It's still a train, moves around. But that's how I'm going to do it from now on. I'm not going to drive 28 hours. It's just, people say it's a nice drive. It's far. I mean, 28 hours.
I found it a grueling thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's 28 hours of driving. You sleep after 10 hours. You still have another 17 hours.
I know. Yeah. It's Groundhog Day. It's like getting up to work at 4 a.m.
So I'm glad I did it. I experienced it. It wasn't that pricey. I saved on gas, on mileage on my car. It cost me about $500 US. I would have spent $300 US if I would have gone driving. So it cost me a couple $100. No accident. Don't worry about being on the roads. And then I can tell you what happened once I got to Lorton, Virginia, all the way to Montreal. It was like, I couldn't believe it. I was practically the only car on the road heading north.
What were you taking? 95?
I was on the 88.
The 80, yeah.
I got off of Virginia. Virginia to about New York State was busy. But once I got to New York State, from Albany to Montreal, I was the only car heading north. It was scary because
walk down New York City.
It was scary because it was raining. It was foggy. It got dark. I was in Albany at around 7:30. I couldn't see in front of me. Usually when there's dense fog, you always look for vehicles ahead of you to guide you. There was nobody in front of me. All I saw was deer crossing signs every 20 miles or 20 kilometers. And that scared me even more.
Yeah.
So I had to go slower.
The Adirondacks, boy.
Yeah. I had to go slower. And I got to the border. I'll never forget. It was like just lights on, pouring rain. The US side was dead, a couple of lights on. Canadian had one lane open with an officer there. She goes, where are you coming from? Florida. Show me your passport. Are you sick? No. You know, you got to quarantine 14 days by yourself? Yes. Okay, go ahead. It was an eerie feeling. I drove from Laval to Laval. It took me about an hour. And I'll never forget, the city was black. The only thing lighting up the city was Champlain Bridge and the Montreal skyline. Everything else was like, I don't know why they don't turn on the lights. Nothing was on. It was pitch black. The only thing was the bridge, and it was the first time I'd been on the bridge. I've never seen Montreal like this. Then I drove, and I said, you know what? It was what, April 1st or March 30th. I said, hopefully they did some work on the roads. But they didn't.
Wishful thinking, Frank.
I said, why don't they fix the roads? Everybody's home.
Well, you know why, Frank. It's Quebec.
Welcome home, Frank.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make sense.
Chez nous, là.
Right. Bienvenue au Québec.
Oh, Quebec. Hey, Frank, I got to ask you one question, because the last time I interviewed you, you told me in great detail a wonderful story of you and your son going to an Italian League football game.
How is Massimo,
you're
by the way?
Huge football. What's that?
I'm just asking him how Massimo, because I remember meeting Massimo when he was about this high. Many
Massimo's 20. He's going to be 25 next week or in 2 weeks.
Okay.
You're asking about the soccer experience?
Yeah.
When he played in Italy or when we went to a game?
You went to a match together.
Yeah, you know, I was never a big soccer fan. But my dad, God bless his soul, Sunday mornings when we grew up in Ahansik, and I used to go out at night I have two brothers. We'd get home late on a Saturday night, go out dancing, whatever. And we get to bed late after having a burger at Harvey's at 2 a.m.
Yeah, there's a tradition.
So Sunday mornings, back then, the only way you can follow Italian soccer was on CFMB, the ethnic radio station, AM. And my mom had a radio in the kitchen, which was always on CFMB, and it still is today. But it was always staticky. You know how you hear zzz. And we get to bed at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, my brothers and I, we'd get to bed. And every Sunday morning at 8, because 8 a.m. would be 2 p.m. Italian time, my dad would turn on this radio and listen to Italian soccer. And the way they do it is they interrupt each game. If there's a goal, they go to another city to report the goal. And every time they do that, you hear, pop, 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 pop. That means somebody scored. So we would wake up and stay in bed and listen to the game. And by noon, my mom, which was tradition, was to have pasta every Sunday at noon, 12:30. And we didn't want to wake up. I mean, we just had a Harvey's burger, a Chez Matant hot dog at 2:30 in the morning. Last thing we wanted to do is have pasta at 12:30. But we had to get up. My mom would say in Italian, you know, the pasta's ready, and we wouldn't move. We would not move because first of all, we weren't hungry. Second of all, we wanted to sleep. Third, we've been up since 8 because my dad's listening to the soccer. But my dad never laid a hand on us. He would do this chant, this clap. That would mean if you guys are not at the kitchen table within 10 seconds, you're in trouble. So we would only move when we'd hear that clap. Mm-hmm. And we'd get up and go have pasta, and our eyes were still stuck together, and we'd eat the pasta, and then we'd go back to bed. And that's how I started following soccer. My dad took me to Italy back in the late 70s. I went and see Maradona, who I consider the best player ever to play the game, better than Messi, better than Ronaldo, because he did it in Italy. He was a small guy. He was amazing. I know people are going to say, yeah, but he was on drugs. That was afterwards. When he played soccer, he's a god even today in Napoli. He's a god. I went to see a couple of games. So I said to myself, when my son is a bit older, I'm going to take him to Napoli to see a game. And that's what happened about 12, 13 years ago.
Yeah. Well, that's
Which
what I'm talking
region?
about.
Which region is your father from?
He's from the Napoli region.
Oh, from there. Okay.
Yeah, he's from there. And my dad always said, you know, Maradona's the best player. And I'd say, yeah, okay, sure. But you know what? I followed the guy and I went and see him, and they won. Napoli's only won 2 championships, and it's because of Maradona. I mean, people were naming their kids Diego all over Naples because of Maradona. So I took my son, and my son till this day still plays soccer twice a week. He's been on skates maybe half a dozen times. He can barely skate. He had no ambition at all to play hockey. He'll play soccer 5 times a week if he could. Now he tore his meniscus and ligaments. He's got to have surgery, but that's been put off because of COVID. But he still plays 2-3 times a week. He works at Air Canada. He's been laid off. So that's how he got into soccer. And you know what? I follow hockey, but I just can't get into it anymore. Since the lockout, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I lost interest.
Otherwise, everybody's well, Frank.
Yeah.
Your wife and
yeah.
Okay.
You know, everybody's doing well. It's tough, guys, because you know I don't know about you guys, but it's been 2 months now.
Oh, I know. I count the days. It's a rough one.
But we don't know when this is. We don't know when this is going to end.
No, we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah. That's the exclamation point at the end.
Anyways, we're really happy to see you're well, Frank. Again, we're checking in with some of our favorite people, and you're on that list, buddy. So send everybody regards to Madame, and of course,
I will.
Yeah, thanks for the story of the trip home. We haven't had one of those, people actually driving home. So
yeah.
Well, listen, if you go on my Facebook page, I posted my drive from Albany to Montreal. I was the only car on the road. I grabbed my phone and I recorded a few seconds of what the roads were like, and I was playing music. I played some Ann and Nancy Wilson, some Heart, some Canadian music. I had fun with it, so it's on there. And guys, before I go, I just want to say the thing I miss the most is doing radio.
You know what? Dave and I have talked about this several times now, and it's the same thing for me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I would do anything to do a shift on. The problem in Montreal, there's not many stations. Everything's owned by Bell. The other station's owned by Cogeco. I wish I was in Toronto or Ottawa. I'd be doing a weekend shift somewhere on a music station like CHFI or Boom FM. I miss being a jock on radio, which I did for many years at FM 96 and Mix 96 as well. I worked some time at Showem. That's what I miss. I wish I can get a weekend gig. It's not a money thing. It's just I just miss doing it. That's what I'd like to do. A music gig.
I don't miss the hours I had in the morning. But
yeah, I know. Well, I did mornings as well.
Yeah.
Mornings are tough. Mornings are tough, but I'm talking about like a weekend shift or filling in. I've tried everything in the city, but it's impossible. I mean, if you're not in the right clique, nobody's going to even touch you. So, and I've been out of the radio that way. I've been doing radio on CBC Radio for a few years. And by the way, I'm no longer at CBC.
Right. That's why we want to check in with you, among other things. But anyway, Frank, we're out of time, buddy. We gotta go.
Bon courage. Take it easy, Frank.
Hang in there.
Stay safe. Stay healthy, guys.
Grazie. Grazie.
Exactly. You too.
Ciao.
There he is. There's the smile.
Frank Cavallaro. And yes,
I think he's a lot like you. He has to be doing something. And
he's
finding that
Frank is a doer. Frank is a doer, and I'm pleased to see and to hear that everyone is well at his end. So. And yes, again, radio. I was mentioning that to you, I think, a couple of weeks ago. I've got a hankering there too. That's where I started 45 years ago, nearly 50 years ago, and
my first time was in '78, so that's getting to be 100 years ago.
And I'm sorry, you've driven to Florida?
Oh yeah, but this
really?
This is Frank's really tough. He's not 75, but he's not the age I was. I did in college. There was no choice.
I see.
Plane to Florida.
This was a drunken.
We drove to the Panhandle side too. So when you're going through there, you're going through Alabama.
I see.
What a
Look,
different
look,
world.
Ma, there's the whitest man I've ever seen.
But I mean, there's stuff out of Dogpatch there. I mean, there's,
Oh, I'm
oh
sure.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
All right. Have a good weekend, sir.
Yep.
And
Okay. And we're working Monday. It's a bank holiday, but we're
yes,
not
it's
a
a bank
bank.
hell. And Mitch Melnick is supposed to join us on Monday. Speaking of radio people and broadcasters, now Mitch is not sure about how he's going to do it. Maybe with his phone. So that should be interesting.
Okay.
He might be
Alrighty.
brushing
Well,
his teeth or walking the dog while we're talking to him. So we'll see. It should be interesting.
Mitch will come through for us.
Mitch
He's
is
a pro, 40 years.
another journeyman broadcaster from way back, and so we'll check in with him on Monday.
All righty. Enjoy your weekend.
You too.